Every single month, my team and I send over 100,000 outreaches across email, TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. This effort has generated us $132,250 in the last 6 months with less than $10,000 in overhead. In today's video, I'm going to teach you about each one of these outbound strategies, the pros and cons to each, and which one you should do for your business and why. My goal is to save you the last 2 years of trial and error I went through, so you too can add an additional 6 figures in income to your B2B business. If you want to add an extra 20 calls a month to your calendar, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and let's get into the video. All right, what's up guys? We back. Today we're going to be talking about how to use outbound to get more clients. Now, when we're looking at what outbound is, essentially what that means is reaching out to people who have never heard of us before. Now, there's 2 ways to do that. We have warm outbound and cold outbound, right? Warm outbound is classified as a lead that has already had contact with you and is familiar with who you are and what you do. Versus cold outbound, which is someone that literally has never heard of you, has no idea who you are or what you do, right? Now, warm outbound is always where I like to start with any business. And the reason why is because this is the easiest low-hanging fruit that's sitting for our business, right? So we want to always start when we're trying to get momentum, get our business off the ground with a warm network, because there's people in your network that need your service and are actively looking for a solution to the problem that you solve. So this is what I recommend any business starts with, because if we can get a little momentum from this, it gives us money that we can spend on ads, virtual assistants, etc. It gets us momentum in our business. So the first thing I want you guys to do when you are launching your business is to start by scanning your network. So we want to do an exercise here. In this exercise, we're going to make a list of every single person you have ever met. Right? I want you to scan your entire network. Now, it doesn't matter if this person is a right fit for your business or not. Go through the exercise of putting every single person on a list. I'm saying scan your Facebook friends, scan your contact list, your email list, your Instagram following, scan everywhere. And the reason why it doesn't matter if these people are the right fit or not is by simply going through the exercise of writing down every single person you know, it's going to start jogging your memory about people in your network that you completely forgot about. Look, we've all been around for a while. We've met thousands and thousands of people. Your brain's going to forget a lot of those. But when we go through the exercise of just brain dumping every single person we have ever met, it's going to jog your memory on a lot of people you completely forgot about, right? And here's the other reason why we want to do that. Right? The other thing I forgot to mention is scan your engagement as well, right? So go through every single post you've made, every email you sent, anything where you've been out there and people have engaged with it, right? So for example, go on your Instagram, go through every single post, and scan every single person that interacted it. I'm talking likes, comments, shares, follows, etc. Go through every single DM you've ever received, right? And then when we build this list, we want to reach out to people and say something like, hey, just want to thank you so much for interacting with my content. I'm so glad that you found value from it. I'm working really hard on it and the support means the world, right? Just start that conversation with them, right? Or, hey, I saw you, favorited one of my videos. I'm glad you found value in it. I'd love to learn more about your business and see if there's anything I can do to help you reach your goals. So that's what you're going to do when you're scanning your engagement. Now, what you want to do with your warm network is reach out to these people and ask them if they know anybody that's looking for your service. You'd be like, hey, what's up, Susie? Hope you've been well. I started a personal training business recently, and I was curious if you know any single moms that had a baby recently that might be looking to shed some extra belly fat. I'd be happy to offer them a free personal training session to help them, get on track, just to help me get my name out there. So that's what I like to do with that is don't say, hey, Susie, do you want to work with me? Say, do you know anyone that needs XYZ? Because even if they're not a good fit, they might know someone that is. So now we're getting access to their network as well. And it allows us to reach out to a lot more people than just the people that are a good fit for us. Because people want to help you out. They're your friends. If they have someone that comes to mind, they'll definitely refer you, right? But you need to be specific about who you're looking for, right? Now, outside of that, when you're also reaching out to them and saying, do you know anyone? If they're a good fit, they're gonna be like, yeah, I know someone, it's me. Right? So this is a really good way to start to just get some momentum in the door. No one likes doing this, but it's really good to just start with, because you can pound this out in about a week from making the list and reaching out to everyone. And you're going to get at least a couple clients just from that alone. This allows you to start getting some momentum, get some funding, get some testimonials, which will help you really get your business off the ground, right? Now let's talk about cold outbound. There's really three main types of cold outbound. So first we have cold calling, just straight cold calling people, right? Next we have cold emailing, and then last we have cold DMing, so direct messaging people. Let's dive into each one of these. So first we have cold calling. Now this is by far the most effective form of outbound, especially if you have any sort of B2B offer. And the reason why is because there's just something really effective about when you can talk to someone. Right? It's a lot easier to ignore a message or an email. It's a lot harder to ignore someone that's on the other line, right? Now, the pros to this is talking to someone on the phone. Like I said, it's way more effective in getting their attention. But the cons of this is cold calling is a lot more intrusive, right? And it can rub people the wrong way. None of us really like getting that sales call from someone that we weren't expecting. It's really, really annoying. And if you do it wrong, it could actually hurt your brand in the long term. So we got to be careful about how we do this. We don't want to be obnoxious, but it's still really, really effective. Now, next we have cold email. Now, this strategy is the easiest to do at scale, especially if we leverage AI tools to build our list for us. It allows us to generate a crap ton of leads, and we can blanket message all of them. I'm going to be showing you in some future videos how we do this. And really why email is great is, a lot of these other platforms, they cap you out, right? Like Instagram, you can only send, I believe it's like 30 messages a day. On Facebook, it's somewhere between like 30 to 150. I've seen mixed results on what people say you're allowed to do, but like these platforms really cap you out at a certain point because they don't want you spamming people, right? And the other but now the cons of cold emailing is really just that it's harder to reach people, right? Because people's inbox is already flooded with a lot of messages. A lot of times, if you blanket message people, your emails will end up in their spam folder. So you don't really get high response rates. It's really more of like a blanket, reach out to a lot of people approach. Last but not least, we have cold DMing, so direct messaging. Now, this strategy can be extremely effective because we can leverage your brand credibility that we're building from building your audience and putting out high quality content, right? When we're doing ads, we're doing all this content creation, you're really showing yourself as an authority. And this is the easiest way for people to see that authority, right? Because when you message them, the first thing they're going to do is click on your profile to see what your deal is. Right? So this strategy, the pros of it are really, it's the best to build rapport, and it's really easy to find exactly who your target market is using this strategy, because we can just type in, if you're looking for chiropractors, we can just type in #chiropractor. If you're looking for business coaches, we can type in #business coach. So we can get easy access to a unlimited lead source of our target market and have that rapport with them built very easily when they click on our profile and they see how much of an authority we are. Right? Now, the cons to this strategy is, like I was mentioning a minute ago, there's a limit to the amount of people we can reach out to. Instagram's about 30 a day. LinkedIn is anywhere from like 10 to 250. I think it can go a little higher if you do like the expensive programs they offer on LinkedIn. But I believe if you get the like $99 Sales Navigator, it caps at about 250 a day. Right? Or it might be a week. I'd have to double check on that. But it caps you, right? There's only so many messages we can send on these platforms. Right? So that's really the cons to cold DMing. While it is the best to build rapport and easy to get conversations going with our target market, we can only talk to so many people at a time. Now, there's 3 phases. Like I mentioned in all these, when we're scaling our marketing operations, there's 3 phases that we go through in order to really get everything going. And this is what those phases look like for outbound. So first, we have the testing phase. This is where we need to find a strategy that works. So that strategy is both the script we're using as well as the platform we're using. So with any strategy, whether it's testing a script or a platform, etc., we really want to use the right sample size. Don't just send 100 messages and be like, this strategy doesn't work. I like to use a bare minimum sample size of 1,000 messages. That's enough that we know of, okay, we sent 1,000 messages and we got 2 responses. The strategy is not working, right? But if you only send like 100 and you're like, oh, it's not working. What if on that 101 message, you got a sale, right? All of a sudden, that's a really, really good strategy, right? So we want to make sure when we're testing everything, we're using a high enough sample size that we can make a decision confidently based off of the data. So first, we're just going to test these various strategies. And I'll show you in the next module when we're using the tracker how exactly to do that. But we want to make sure that we're making decisions based off of the proper amount of data, right? So just take that into account when you're going through the testing phase, right? Then we have the optimization phase. So this is where we want to start to improve the metrics on our strategies, right? So if we get a proof of concept, we're like, this is worth pursuing. Over time, we're going to develop more and more data. And in that data, we'll have the ability to set goals of how to improve various metrics so we can get better results. So that's improving things like the quantity of output, right? Things like the response rate, the response time. How quickly are we responding to people when they get back to us, right? Things like effective follow-up messages, right? Because you might reach out to someone, they say they want to book a call, and then you don't hear from them. What message is going to be the most effective about getting them booked on that call? We're going to test different things and find what works. This is really where we go through that optimization phase, right? Then from there, once we have something that works, we can move to the automation phase.
Now, we can automate the outbound phase depending on the strategy a couple different ways. You can use softwares to automate Instagram, LinkedIn, and email, or you can hire a virtual assistant to do it as well. If you would like help automating that process, just go ahead and shoot me a DM on Instagram. Depending on the strategy you can use, I can either point you to a software that does it for you, or that's also a service we offer as well. You could explore having us just do it for you. Now that we know about the different options with outbound, how do we decide which one to go with? Well, the key to really mastering outbound is making decisions based off of data and not emotion. And the way we do that is by using an outbound tracker. I'm going to now show you the tracker that I use and how to use it to both figure out where is the bottleneck in your outbound process and which outbound strategy should I go with.
But let's walk through what we have here. So if you remember in the module where I was talking about going through the phases, at first we're in the testing phase and we're just trying to find a strategy that works. We don't know if LinkedIn's better than Instagram versus email versus outbound versus all of those, or like cold calling, etc., right? So what we want to do is we want to have different tabs for tracking each strategy, right? So I just showed a couple examples here of how we would do that. So for example, in here, I have the LinkedIn outbound tracker. And then what I literally did is just right click, duplicate, and I made a copy and called it the Instagram outbound tracker, right? So that way you can just have the same ones. You track all the metrics behind it. And you want to split test them so you can see what's working best. You can also do this to track different scripts, right? So let's say I'm trying 2 different scripts on Instagram and I'm doing like a test size of like, let's just say 1,000, outreaches using a single script. So what I recommend, don't go back and forth. Do one test until you have 1,000 messages sent. So what I would do if that's the case, if I'm, wanted to split test a couple different outreach scripts, I'm going to right click, rename, and just go Instagram script 1, right? And then I can just right click, duplicate, rename, Instagram script 2, et cetera, right? So you can just duplicate these, test different things. Just make sure to separate your data so you're making decisions very clearly. They're not getting muddied up. And that's one really easy way to just split test various scripts or various platforms, right? And I just put some sample data in here so you can see how we track. Now down here, this is where we're going to track the totals that will help us make better decisions. I put a couple examples of what we want to track in here, but you can come in here and add whatever you want. So the way we do that is we identify, okay, what metrics do we care about, right? So let's say, for example, here, I want average messages sent per day. So the way I would track that is I'm going to type in equals sum parentheses, and then I'm going to select the equation I want to do. So if I want to find the averages messages sent per day, I have to go the amount I've sent. So let's just say I filled out this whole month. Let's say I average 35 every single day, right? So let me ask out of that. Let's say every day I was super militant, and for this month, for the rest of the days, I averaged 35, right? So that means I sent 1,045 messages in January, right? I think there's 31 days in January, so I'll just add this in for my own sanity. We'll add 35 right there. Okay. Boom. All right. So if I want to check my average messages sent per day, I'm going to go equals sum parentheses. Then I'm going to select the total divided by how many days were in this year or in this month, which is 31. So I'm going to go 31, right? Boom. So I averages 35 messages sent per day, right? And you can go, notice here, it might not be the actual total because it's rounding. But if I go like this, look, it'll add additional decimal points in so I can see exactly how much there actually is. And then if I want to keep this formatted properly, I can highlight it like that. So we can come in here and think about like, okay, what can I do to improve my metrics? What are the metrics that I need to really isolate down on in order to improve this process? So obviously one that's going to make sense is how many people responded to this script I sent. I could compare the message to response ratio from this Instagram script versus the next one. I can look at like, why did this one perform worse or better than the next one? So how am I going to do that? That's going to be messages sent divided by responses. So let's say I averaged 1 per day just for the whole month. And I'll just switch out some of these numbers just so you can see. 5, 2, right? So what am I going to do? Message to close, this message response to, I didn't have it in there. Let me add it. Message to response. Oh, no, it is right there. Message to response ratio. I thought I put that in. Right, so what am I going to do? I'm going to go equals sum parentheses. What's my message to response ratio? Well, I'm going to go total messages divided by total responses. Boom. So it takes me on average 29 messages to get a response. Now let's look at our response to close ratio. So it takes me, let's look at our response to call booked ratio, right? So equals sum, boom, boom, boom. And you can just select it, right? So I can go select. So response to call book ratio. So out of 37 responses, I booked 4 calls. Boom. It took me 9 responses to get a booked call. So guess what? Now I can do the math. Okay, how many messages do I need to send to book a call? So that'd be message to book call ratio, right? Well, if it took me 9 responses, and I could literally, you get what I'm saying. You can just do the math in here, right? And you can use these numbers to determine, okay, where can I improve my data? Where is it breaking down? Is there anything glaring that's standing out? And then that shows you what you need to focus on in order to improve that strategy. Or the metrics will tell you how well this strategy is working compared to another, and where is it breaking down. You can track the same metrics and see which ones are working for what reasons, right? This is what allows us to make decisions on where to put our focus. We're making decisions based off of data instead of emotion, right? So we have these strategies for Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. You can test different strategies. And then in here, we have our master tracker. So what this allows us to do is compare strategies against each other. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do it manually. I honestly prefer to do it manually just because it's easier to make sure I do it right. So literally I can come in here and be like, okay, how many messages did I send from Instagram? I sent 180. So come in here, Instagram, messages sent, 180, right, etc. But you can also do this through an equation so it does it automatically. So how I would do that is go equals sum parentheses, then come back here onto my tracker and click right there, boom. And notice it's literally pulling it from that other one. So if you want to just automate this, keep it super aligned, you can do it that way. Or if you don't want to deal with potentially messing it up, you can just do it manually. But now we can see, okay, I sent 1,080 Instagram. Let's say I just sent 1,000 Instagram, 1,000 LinkedIn, 1,000 Facebook, 1,000 email. How many responses did I get from each one of those strategies? How many quality conversations, calls, but now you can compare them and see where should I put more of my focus. If you find Instagram's working way better than LinkedIn, then shoot, maybe make a couple of extra accounts and just go super hard on Instagram, right? If you find LinkedIn is working way better than Instagram, maybe you should upgrade to the platinum package or whatever they have on LinkedIn and start sending way more messages. Or you can see if all of these strategies are profitable, just have your VA do literally all of them, right? But this is what allows us to really get our business dialed, is being able to see the data and make decisions based off of this information, right? So as you know, you go through all the other modules about like each strategy, make sure that you're tracking these through the tracker. The link's down below. If you have any questions about any of this, hop on the call. And in case I haven't already, which I believe I have in some of the other modules, I'll just go through what each one of these means. So obviously platform is the platform it's on, messages sent, the amount of people that responded, the quality conversations you had, calls booked. SS taken just means like strategy calls taken, so that initial sales call. FUC, that stands for follow-up call. So some people you might not close initially. You might have them on a follow-up call because they need more information or they need to get a decision maker, right? So if that's the case, track it as a follow-up call so you can see, okay, how many calls on average does it take for me to close someone, right? How many no-shows? This can be really important. Like I was looking at my ads and I noticed I had a 79% no-show rate. That's atrocious. So that's where I put my focus because that was the most glaring issue I found in my data, right? Closes is obvious. You close them. FUS, that just stands for follow-up scheduled. So let's say you take a strategy call. They're like, oh, I need to get my manager on the call. Let's set up a follow-up call. Then get them booked on that call. Don't wait for them to check their schedule or anything. Be like, look, my calendar fills up quick. Let's get something on the books now. When you get that on, then you put a 1 for follow-up scheduled. Cash collected is how much you collect. So let's say you have a $5,000 package and you get them on a $1,000 payment plan. Cash collected would be 1,000, revenue would be 5, right? And then clients, just put the name of the clients you got. I got Susie, whatever, Just put the names there, right? So that's the basic rundown. If you have any questions, hop on the calls and let me know, or just message me and I'll answer anything you need help with.
Hope you're enjoying the content. If you'd like some free help with your business, go ahead and just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to give you a free custom marketing plan. Also, every single week, I do free Zoom calls where you can come on and get direct access to me absolutely free. If you'd like the link to that, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to send you that as well. Enjoy the content. I'll see you in the next video.